What does the future hold for Michigan? Now that we know that the Wolverines are the undisputed victors of the college football world for the first time since 1997, attention turns to the future of this program, primarily at two major positions. In fact, arguably the two most important positions on a football field at any given moment. Your head coach, Jim Harbaugh, and your quarterback in J.J. McCarthy. Do they come back for 2024, or do they look for grander pastures in the NFL? Let's talk about it. But if you are new here, welcome on into the channel. My name is Cole Thompson. I'm a radio show host based in Houston, and I talk college football daily. So if this is the type of content you enjoy, and trust me, we have a ton coming. We got a banner. We're going to start doing live shows. Simply because the clock has struck midnight on 2023 does not mean that content will stop flowing on this channel. So if you like this type of stuff, all things college football, make sure you smash the subscribe button down below. Give me your thoughts on what's going to happen with J.J. McCarthy's status, with Jim Harbaugh's status for 2024. Tell your friends, your family, your mortal enemies, your best of bros, college football fans, and Michigan aficionados everywhere about this channel, because we're on the race to become the #1 YouTube show talking college football daily. Tell everybody about this channel and follow me on social media at Mr. Cole Thompson. That way, conversations surrounding our favorite sport never have to stop flowing. Michigan is the undisputed, unanimous champions of the world. And make no mistake, you can put the asterisk next to the name. This was an elite team. All 15 games throughout the season, they're able to strut their stuff and say to the world, we are the victors. And did they do it their way? And somewhat in a cheating way? Yeah, we can throw that in there. But make no mistake, talent-wise, this team was always good enough to win a national championship. And the best news is this version of Wolverine football is sustainable in the brand new version of the college football realm. We got expansion. We got 12 teams going to the playoff next year. We got expansion in the Big Ten. You're welcoming in Washington. You're bringing over Oregon. You're saying hello to UCLA and USC. And those late night trips to the West Coast, Best Coast are certainly going to take a dial on your body, but you still have the formula that's able to win, especially if you bring back Jim Harbaugh and J.J. McCarthy. But hindsight's always 20/20, and you have to look at the big picture. When it comes to Jim Harbaugh at this point, the question turns to, what more do you have to prove? This is a Michigan man through and through, and it always starts back in his days when he was the starting quarterback, and then it carried over to what he did when he came back from San Francisco and how he was able to build an identity, stick to that identity, change the course a little bit, and that really soured a few years in Ann Arbor. And then he goes back to his version of football, his brand, his style, his physicality, and it results in 3 Big Ten titles, 3 college football playoff appearances, and eventually a national championship, the first in over 2 decades. What more do you have to prove? If you are Jim Harbaugh and you're looking at the grand scheme and your legacy in Ann Arbor, what more is there to write? Sure, you can win a couple more national championships and you could be alongside the Bo Schembechlers of the world. You can be considered one of the greatest coaches to ever walk the sideline, which you already are. But you're never going to beat Nick Saban's record for the most national titles in college football. I just don't think when you look at what you're seeing in the history of college football that Harbaugh's going to be able to sustain this type of success for this long to be able to finally beat and go head-to-head with Nick Saban. So that record's probably not going to happen. I don't know if you'll ever be able to become the all-time leader in wins in Michigan. Even though this past year you were able to get the 1K marker, it just feels like everything about Jim Harbaugh is secure. You know there's going to be a statue built of him. You know he's going to be remembered and enshrined for being able to finally get you over the hump. He's going to be able to implement his style, his brand that will carry over well into his legacy, even if he's not the one calling the shots. And he may have grander things on his mind. He may be looking at the NFL, wanting another shot to be like Pete Carroll, national champion, Super Bowl champion. And he's going to be wanted. Go look at the teams that right now are in the NFL scourging the market to try and find a new head coach and commander-in-chief. You're not going to find much better than Jim Harbaugh. Las Vegas is interested. Los Angeles is interested. I think Washington absolutely would be interested. If the Chicago Bears were to move off of Matt Eberflus, that's your first, second, and only phone call. But you don't have to go to the NFL. And for J.J. McCarthy, it's kind of the same thing. At this point, you go look back at last season, the way that he spoke in Glendale, Arizona, talking about this team, this morale, this tenacity, the no-quit type of aura that hovered around this roster. We'll be back. Those were his exact words. We'll be back. and he lived up to his promise. He kept his word, led his team to an undefeated season, will go down in history alongside the great passers in the maize and blue, and certainly will always have a welcoming place in Ann Arbor. Always will. But you have to look out for you at this point. What does your draft stock look like? There are some people that are saying he is the fourth best quarterback in this class and could even garner a little bit of interest when it comes to first round buzz. I don't see it right now. I see him more so as a second round pick. But if you're hearing that you're a top 10 player, you're not going to get enough NIL money to be able to come back. And there's really nothing left for you to prove. National champion, got that done. Big Ten champion, got that done. Won a college football playoff game, got that done. Took your team to 2 college football playoff appearances, checked that box, and had 2 back-to-back undefeated seasons with 1 loss next to your name. I mean, the story writes itself. This is about as good as a farewell swan song as you could ask for. And if a team out there believes that they can get the best version of you and view you as a franchise quarterback, you have to take everything into account. But let's just go ahead and say that both of these guys are certainly on the fence right now. Michigan's going to offer a lifetime contract for Harbaugh. That's going to happen because if they see the formula works, and more importantly, a lifetime contract for him, it may be the 11-year, $125 million deal, but it's 11 years because of I don't think you'll see him coaching after those 11 years. So you won't have to up the contract or continue to add on years. 11 is probably his baseline. So that is the lifetime contract. Why wouldn't he want to come back? Jim Harbaugh is a weird son of a gun. He's different. He's built like you and I. Eat, live, breathe college football. Go listen to the stories that you've heard throughout the last several weeks about recruiting visits and the way he talks to players and the way that he commands excellence inside the locker room, but how players gravitate towards his no-nonsense personality and, more importantly, his bold demeanor that really stands out. The guy drinks milk with his steak. He wears gloves on the sidelines while throwing passes. He dances around with recruits inside of their home living rooms. This is a coach that's made for college football, and he can't get enough of it. The problem is that there are going to be the ruling with the NCAA. That's absolutely going to be a factor in all of this. If they feel like they're going to lay down the sanctions and you're not going to be coaching in 2024, you may just go ahead and say, my legacy is secure. Why the hell am I going to go ahead and sit out for a season, even if I'm getting paid? I don't want to waste my time. I want to do something more. But if he wants to come back, guess what? You are the standard in the Big Ten. Everyone else that's coming on in, Oregon, Washington, USC, UCLA, plus the teams that sit below you, Penn State, Ohio State, Wisconsin, Nebraska, Illinois. You're looking at teams on the come up, like maybe Northwestern again, under David Braun and Greg Schiano turning Rutgers into an actual positive team. That's the standard in the Big Ten. And as long as you're able to recruit the way that you are, and as long as you have that persona and that logo attached to your name, Michigan sells itself. So you can consistently find your name right back in the running. First round bye, you're able to go ahead and catch a breather going into the next stage. Always getting that secure Big Ten process. You're always in the running to hoist up a title. If you have that, maybe you want to run it back. And then if you're JJ McCarthy, here's the way that I view this. You could go into this draft and you could be a first round pick. You could. You could struggle at the combine. You could, unfortunately, take a step back. You could injure yourself, thus hurting your draft stock. And you may not like the results of what eventually occur once you get to the next level. And you don't know where you rank among the quarterbacks. Everyone is going to have their differing opinion. We know at the very top, Caleb Williams, Drake May. Caleb Williams, Drake May. And then I would say probably number 3 is going to be Jaden Daniels. And then after that, it kind of goes up, pick your poison at quarterback. Do you think that Sam Hartman will be able to translate to the NFL in a timely manner? Do you think that Michael Penix Jr. is going to be able to withstand the hits in the NFL to be able to deliver those beautiful spirals deep down the field? Do you think that Bo Nix is going to be able to translate what we saw in Eugene to the next stage? Or do you think that JJ McCarthy's accuracy, his timeliness, his footwork, his mechanics may not be elite, but it is good enough to help your team cross the threshold of being a pretender of a postseason pitcher to actually a contender, finding their way into the AFC or NFC playoffs? That might be the case. Or you already know that there's a proof of concept here. Whether or not Jim Harbaugh goes to the NFL, Sharon Moore does not seem like he is in any hurry to leave Ann Arbor, whether that be as the coach in waiting or whether that be as the OC. It's already an established offense that you know how to run. And you know what the identity is. Get the passes off, quick, timely decisions, and continue to keep drives alive and momentum at an all-time high. So if you run that back, plus with what you're retaining in talent, plus what you know is going to be coming in with a top 10 recruiting class, plus what you know could be at stage in a Big Ten that is going to be completely different than what we've ever seen before, you better your draft stock. Going into next year, who's your QB1? No, seriously, who's your QB1? Because every answer is going to be different. You will have the Quinn Ewer truthers saying, this kid, give him another season with Steve Sarkisian, going to be a difference maker. You'll have the Dylan Gabriel crowd. Listen, he's a veteran. He's been around the block. He basically has AARP in the world of college football. He'll translate to the NFL. Shedeur Sanders is going to get a lot of love. Carson Beck down in Georgia is going to get a lot of love. You'll hear some Jackson Dart truthers out there. Everyone going into next season has the opportunity to be QB1. And so does JJ McCarthy. So when you look at the big picture right now, they have to do what's best for them. And I'm not going to predict anything. I'm not. I think that Jim Harbaugh might be more secure with his legacy in Ann Arbor than JJ McCarthy. He may view this as an opportunity to only bolster his draft stock and build his legacy even further than it already is. That might be JJ McCarthy's way of thinking, but the proof of concept is there to be able to run this back in 2024 if you have Harbaugh and JJ McCarthy at the helm. The proof of concept is there if both of them were to leave for greener pastures and go on to the professional level. Both have the ability to be successful in the next stages of their life and in the next stages of their career. Harbaugh's already done it. Go ahead and tell me that 3 straight consecutive trips to NFC championship games in San Francisco isn't good enough to go ahead and run it back in 2024. But regardless, Michigan's going to be in a great spot going into 2024. They have a roster that's more than capable of pounding their way all the way back to a college football playoff appearance. It just would be an added bonus if you have your head coach and your quarterback, one of the best duos that we've seen in a hot minute in the world of college football, say, we're not done. And by the way, if they do come back, watch out, world. The victors, they want to stay victorious for a reason.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching that video. Don't hit the X button yet. Make sure you hit subscribe to keep up with all of our daily content found on Just Saying It and anything else that we post on this channel. Bye.